What's going on YouTube? So over the last decade or so, Lexus has become one of the foremost luxury automakers in the US, with sales that very often are neck and neck with both BMW and Mercedes. A big part of that success started with the NX when it was introduced back in 2015. And now for the 2022 model year, Lexus has completely redesigned this model from the ground up, offering new tech and safety, and also setting the stage for all the future Lexus products. So how has Lexus done with their redesign of their popular compact luxury crossover? Let's go ahead, jump right in and find out. Alright, so let's kick things off by taking a look at this brand new exterior. So if you remember back in 2015, the original NX was one of the first models to implement the Lexus spindle grille. And for this redesigned model, we're not seeing a gigantic change. This is definitely more of an evolution of that design language. So up here in the front, you do have the spindle grille. So with the F-Sport model, it's as bold as it always has been. As you can see, it waterfalls down all the way to your lower fascia, and it's finished in the nice gloss black finish for the F-Sport model. As you can see, it also does kind of bend around a little bit on this new generation, which is a distinct difference from the outgoing generation. Furthermore, off to the side here, you're going to see some exclusive elements. So the F-Sport's going to give you this special area, which looks a lot more aggressive. Obviously, this would be toned down if you choose one of the standard trim levels. Next up, let's go ahead and take a look at our lighting. This, of course, has been fully upgraded this year. As you can see, beautiful full LED lighting across the entire range, but we do have the optional triple beam LED headlights, which have adaptive and cornering abilities. You can see you have the latest evolution of the Arrowhead daytime running light right through there, as well as the turn signal along the top. We do also have headlamp washers, which is thrown in with the triple beam lights, and then down here at the bottom, you're going to find your standard fog lamps. All right, so let's go ahead and come down and take a look here at your different wheel options. So of course we do have a series of different choices depending on the trim levels you choose. You're gonna have 18-inch alloys on your base and your premium models. However, if you go for the luxury package or this F-Sport model, that's gonna upgrade you to 20-inch alloy wheels. Obviously with the F-Sport, just like with the front and all the other elements, it is going to be covered in a nice gloss black, which I particularly love the way that looks when you're talking about the contrast with this beautiful red paint. Now, I should point out something I didn't mention up in the front. Today we're talking about the 250 and the 350 models, but if you want the F-Sport, you're gonna have to get the 350, so you can't pair the F-Sport package with the 250 model. Coming above that, you do have your F-Sport branding. The F-Sport is going to finish the mirrors in gloss black, as you would expect, and you do have the nice chrome accent that runs up through here. And as far as the technology you have on board, we've got the full suite. So we've got the blind spot monitoring, we have heating, auto dimming, and power folding.
Now at the side of the Lexus NX, I do want to mention the length. For this all-new model, we're coming in at 183.5 inches, which does put it a little bit smaller in terms of overall length than the vast majority of the rivals. And I do also want to point out a few of the styling elements. For the F-Sport model, we are going to get all of our lower moldings, and they're going to be body color, which does give it a sleeker and more sporty design. I really quite like the way it looks. And then in addition to that, we also have these really cool door handle designs with the black on top. We have the smoked window trim, as well as a black roof rail up top. And making our way around to the rear design for the all-new NX, as you can see, they have done a lot with the design here, and I'm a really big fan of it. I think this looks a lot better than what the previous model did. It has a lot classier of a design touches, so let's go ahead and break that down. Now, you've seen a few of these design touches on the all-new Lexus LX, and they are going to be here for the NX as well. So we have this full-length LED taillight, which is absolutely beautiful. It goes across the entire rear design, and it has a really premium LED accenting going on here. Now, as far as the individual elements in there, we also have an amber LED turn signal. We're also going to have LED brake light as well as reverse light integrated in this lower portion right here. Now in the center, you're also going to have this Lexus spelled out across the back, which is of course a departure from anything we've seen in the Lexus lineup before. Now dropping down to the lower area, you will notice that we do have some matte black plastic, even though this is the F Sport. However, the F Sport's going to throw in this nice silver accenting to give it a sportier vibe. However, you're still going to be missing out on exposed exhaust outlets. All right, and it's time to talk about the warranty as well as the safety information for this all-new NX. Now, as far as your warranty, you're going to have your standard Lexus warranty, which is 4-year, 50,000-mile basic warranty, 6-year, 70,000-mile powertrain warranty, and you're going to get your first 2 maintenance visits covered complimentary. Now, as far as your safety systems, this all-new NX is pioneering the Lexus Safety System Plus 3.0 system, which does throw in even more advanced stuff on top of the forward emergency braking, auto high beam headlamps, adaptive cruise control, and lane keeping assist. The additional stuff for the 3.0 system is a curve management for the adaptive cruise, as well as an auto braking to avoid turning into oncoming traffic or hitting pedestrians. Well guys, I love this red F Sport on the outside. The all-new exterior is really quite an improvement. Now let's go ahead and check out the interior, where I know Lexus has updated a lot of really cool tech, and then we'll take it out in a spin.
Of course, as you would expect, the NX does come standard with Lexus Smart Entry System, and you do have the brand's typical key fob as well as remote start available via the Inform application. As far as the digital key system, that is optional on this. And I do want to talk about the door handles because they are different. They look like normal door handles, but these are actually electronic. So there's a little button behind the door handle. When you press that, it will fold your mirrors out, and it will also open up the door just like so. Let's go ahead and climb inside of this cabin. Before we go any further, I do want to mention how you get out of the vehicle. Of course, like I said, it is electronic, so you just press this little button right here, and that will allow you to open up the door. So starting out this video, as always, by talking about interior material and color choices. You are going to have quite a few throughout the lineup. Your 250 and your 350 models, they're going to come standard with the New Luxe Leatherette. And you've got several different choices that you can choose from for that model in terms of your color options. The 350 F Sport, which is what we have today, this also comes with the New Luxe Leatherette, but as you can see, it has these special F Sport seats that you're used to seeing in a lot of Lexus models. Really nice, thick bolstering on board. You've got the nice headrest with the F Sport branded into it, and the quality of this is really, really nice. Very convincing that this is real leather, even though, like I said, it is the synthetic New Luxe. Now, if you do want real leather, you can choose to get that if you go for the fully loaded luxury model. But as far as your color options for this F Sport specifically, you've got the black you see today, and you also have the very vivid red called Circuit Red. Let's turn on over here and take a look at our material quality. So we'll start with the door trim. You're going to have leather across pretty much the whole thing, as you would expect. So your armrest really nicely padded. The stitching detail kind of goes around the door handle and continues over there. And then you have more of it above this. Along the top is going to be a soft touch plastic. And with the F Sport model, we do have a genuine aluminum trim that runs through here. You would need an additional option package if you want memory seats on the F Sport. And then as far as your windows, they're going to be one touch auto up and down for all 4. Continuing on with materials, our upper dash as well as all of this area is going to be finished in a nice soft touch plastic. And as we move down, we have some piano black accents that run through here. We have a nice piece of leather that kind of wraps around and runs along the console here for your knee to rest against, and some more piano black accents. And then of course, being a Lexus, everything in here is going to fit together absolutely seamlessly. Now to start up, your button is located up here. And of course, you're probably recognizing we do have a new tone with this next generation NX. Now, as far as our gauge cluster is concerned, you're looking at the F Sport version. So this is a 7-inch reconfigurable display right there in the middle. Of course, it does change as reconfigurable does imply, including when you switch between different drive modes, like how I just went into the sport mode and then back into the normal mode. However, in addition to this, even more impressive is this head-up display. So this is a very large head-up display. It is optional, and we have it on this specific model, but what I really like about this is just how many functions and controls it has. So by using these buttons here on the steering wheel, you have these two pads on both sides. These are actually both physical and touch sensitive, so you do press them physically, but it also knows your location. So as you make adjustments and move your finger onto the different buttons, you'll see, and let me pull this up here, you'll see that reflected on this head-up display. So that's one of the things I really love about this head-up display is you have tons and tons of options. So you don't really have to like just do a few things in the gauge cluster, a few things in the head-up display. You can do pretty much all your different functions like cruise control, drive assist, all that stuff inside of the head-up display, which is very vivid and very nice looking. As we pull back to the steering wheel, we do have the newest Lexus design. I'm a fan of the way this looks. You've got the nice perforated leather here on the side, which feels nice in the hand, and you do have the stitching detail as well as F Sport branding. As far as the wheel itself, it is going to be power adjusting on all but the very base NX, and we do have heating since we have the warm weather package on this specific model, excuse me. Additionally, we also have the rain sensing wipers. Now in terms of our interior storage, let's go ahead and check that out. So I'll start off by opening up the center console. Just like with several other Lexus products, this does have the kind of fun trick of opening from both sides. And when we open this up and take a look inside, you'll see plenty of space here. Goes quite a bit down. You do have a really nice felt lining as well throughout. And we can slide in our coupons. Look at that, they fit no problem whatsoever, which is something that some of the rivals do have some struggles with. Now up in front of that, we've got two nicely sized cup holders. We have another little storage area to rest our phone on and a little slot right there, as well as some USB connections, and you can also slide that back to reveal even more storage. Again, felt lined with a 12-volt outlet. We don't have the wireless charger on this model, but of course one is available. Now as we pull back to the shifter, this is one of the areas where you will notice a big difference from the outgoing generation. This is the new electronic shifter like we've seen in some of the newest Lexus products, such as the LC. And for operation of this is the style where you push to the side or to the left to do most of your shifting. So you're gonna push to the left and pull back, that's gonna activate drive. Now if you wanna shift manually, you can move this up and down from this position, or of course, we do have the paddle shifters up on the steering wheel for the F Sport model. Going into reverse, you're just gonna do the opposite, go to the left and push up. And when we go into reverse, this is where you'll find the standard backup camera. As you can see, we do have the active trajectory on board, rear cross traffic alert. Both of the mirrors do tilt down when in reverse to help you see the parking lines easier as well. And you can get an optional 360-degree camera system, although we don't have it on this specific F Sport. And then for park, of course, you're gonna press the P, and just like with all the other Lexus and Toyota products, the parking brake does automatically engage, which is a pretty nice touch. Right behind that, you do have your electronic brake hold as well. Now carrying on our tour of the interior, we do have a very prominent drive mode controller located right there. You got your vents. And then as we head on up, the next area you come to will be your climate control. So there's kind of a dual interface here in the sense that you have both physical and digital controls. So for your main thing that you'll be doing, which will be adjusting your temperature, you do have this big prominent knob right here for both the driver and the passenger. And then inside of the display, that's where you can adjust things like your heated steering wheel. You can change your zones. You can also press that button to raise up and give you some additional functions as well. And then those are some things related to your safety equipment. And you can adjust the fan speeds right there. You'll also notice that we do have the 3-stage heated seats powered on right now. That's going to be standard on every single version of the NX. However, if you want seat ventilation, that's going to be optional on specifically this F Sport. It's going to be in the F Sport luxury package. And then down below that, we do have a physical volume knob. So there's two different audio systems, a 10-speaker premium audio and a Mark Levinson 17-speaker sound system. We've got the standard version, so let's go ahead and give it a sample right now. Yeah, so overall sound quality of this system is pretty good. But of course, I don't really need to tell you guys, Mark Levinson is a really nice sounding sound system. So if you're big into music, it's probably going to be worth the upgrade to you. All right, so now it's time to take a look at one of our most significant changes with this next generation NX, and that is our display area and the whole infotainment system. So what we have on board right now is the 9.8-inch screen. So this is standard on the NX. You also have the availability of a 14-inch display. So the difference between that is going to be, fairly significant. It is going to occupy a lot more space and kind of change the arrangement of the buttons through here. But one thing that's not different between the two is the fact that both of them have the brand new Lexus interface. So this is a new touch-based system designed in the US, and it completely replaces the previous Lexus Inform system. And as you probably noticed, there is no more remote touchpad or mouse type of setup. Right now, what I'm in is the wireless Android Auto. So this does run wirelessly. You do, of course, have Apple CarPlay wireless as well. And if I press that button, that's going to take us back into this brand new system. Like I said, it's totally touch-based, and you can just go through with these different shortcuts through various different sources. We had recently the Toyota Tundra, and it has a very similar system to that, so it's very easy to use, which is one of the things I was quite impressed by. As far as other functionality, the smaller display does not come standard with navigation, but it looks like you can add it through a subscription, and the larger display will have the built-in navigation as standard equipment. Both of them will have the new voice assistant and over-the-air updates. Now moving on up, we do have our auto-dimming mirror with the frameless design, 3 HomeLink universal remotes as well. Got a small sunglass holder, touch-sensitive full LED lighting. And then taking a look here at the sunroof. We do have the optional standard size sunroof on this example. If you want the larger sunroof, you can also get that for a little bit of extra money.
Alright guys, so the Lexus NX is a very family-oriented vehicle, so let's hop on back here to the rear area and see what it's all about. Now let's talk about the space first, because that's a pretty important part of it. We're looking at 36.1 inches of legroom, 38.5 inches of headroom. As you can see behind rear seating position, I'm looking at probably, I'd say, 3.5 to 4 inches of rear legroom. It is worth noting that I'm 5'9", Drew is 5'8", so that's the seat adjustment. And as far as how that compares to the rivals, that is quite a bit smaller than Acura RDX and Audi Q5, but not by a bunch. And as you can see, I do still have plenty of space. Now, as far as the features that Lexus has thrown in, they have also thrown in quite a few good ones. So we have rear vents, as you would expect out of a luxury SUV. We have a nice piano black surround around it. You're not going to have your own climate controls like you would in the Audi, for example. Dropping down, we do have a 12-volt outlet, and we're also going to have 2 USB Type-C ports as well. Now, in addition to that, if we fold down the center armrest, you will notice that we do have 2 cup holders inside, and I want to point out that heated rear seats are available on this NX model. However, this particular tester does not have them. Now come up to the tailgate area. Now, as far as this area is concerned, we do have a power tailgate optionally, so you can actually have a manual opening tailgate on the NX if you don't option it on. It's going to be a $400 option for this particular model. You can also get hands-free abilities as well. Now, as far as the space itself is concerned, we're going to be looking at one of the smaller options in the entire segment. So we're coming in at 22.7 cubic feet of space behind the second row. If you fold the seats down, they do fold 60-40 split. It's going to give you 46.9 cubic feet of space. And like I mentioned, that is pretty much one of the smallest options in the segment. That's going to be below RDX, Audi Q5, Mercedes GLC. Now, as far as just some of the finishings, as you can see, we do have a cargo cover up top included on this model. And then, like I mentioned earlier, the seats do fold 60-40 split. We also have a 12-volt outlet here on this side. Then if I lift up the floor here, see if I can get the all-weather floor mat up, maybe. There we go. Then if we lift that up, you'll see down here we actually have quite a bit of additional space. I don't know if that's included in that maximum cargo capacity figure, so you should be able to fit extra stuff up under here if that cargo space is a problem. Now here's your passenger seat for the NX. As you would expect, it is going to be power adjusting. I think it's 8-way power adjusting. We are missing out on the lumbar support for this model though, or on the passenger side. And then if we open up the glove box, this is a really good area for the NX. If you can't fit something in the cargo department, you can fit it up here. Look how big this glove box is. Here's our coupons for reference. You just throw those in there. Look how easily it swallows them up. We also have a really premium felt lining. And then up top, we have a sun visor, we have some LED lighting, which is a nice touch. We also have a mirror, and we can detach it as well as extend it out.
All right, so there is an acceleration up to 55 miles per hour with this new generation Lexus NX. So we do have a new powertrain, or many new powertrains as a matter of fact, with this new generation. There's 4 different ones. Today we're of course talking about the 250 and the 350, which are going to be your gas powered options, and you have your hybrid and plug-in hybrids, which we're going to talk about in a separate video, hopefully coming fairly soon. But as far as the 250 and the 350, obviously we have the 350 today, and that does not mean that we have a V6 like in the ES350. It actually means we have Toyota's new 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. That's going to be making 265 horsepower, 317 pound-feet of torque, which is, you know, a quite nice figure and definitely up from the previous generation.
Yeah, and really the thing that you notice the most with this powertrain is just the torque figure. The power is, you know, pretty much in line with what the rivals do offer, but the torque, being at almost 320 pound-feet of torque, is a lot of torque, and it really pushes you back in your seat. Now, of course, there is that 250 model that does come in at a cheaper price point, and that's going to have the 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. That's going to be 203 horsepower, 184 pound-feet of torque. So that's going to be the same one that you have in like the Toyota Camry, but that does of course give you, you know, a lower price point for the NX. Now, if you're curious about the 0 to 60 figures between those two, this 350 model is going to go to 0 to 60 in 6.8 seconds. The NX 250 is going to be 8.2 seconds.
Right, so if you're cross-driving between the two, obviously this one is substantially faster, and it is even faster than the 200T model that you may have had with the last generation. Yeah, definitely plenty of torque for passing situations like that. And let's talk about the transmission as well. So we do have an 8-speed automatic transmission on board. This is a really nice, smooth unit. Keeps the engine in its power band. Like I said, you know, gives you good passing power, all the stuff that you're looking for from an automatic transmission.
And if you go for a 350 model, you will have standard all-wheel drive. The 250 does give you the option for front-wheel drive, but they do also have all-wheel drive as an option as well. Let's go ahead and get a sound level reading going 55 here. Looking at 56.3 decibels. You know, that is a really good reading. It's pretty windy outside today, and you know, I'm just noticing that it feels like a very isolated experience inside of this cabin, and that also goes to your ride quality as well. Even though we do have pretty large wheels for this F Sport, and you know, you might think F Sport might be a little sporty or whatnot, it really is more of a very luxury focus for the NX, and it soaks up the bumps really well so far in our test drive.
Right, and we have the adaptive dampers, so you know, we're abbreviating things, F Sport, but it's actually known this year as F Sport handling. The extra handling is because of those adaptive dampers. So in addition to being able to help us have a nicer ride today while we're cruising down this, you know, section of highway, it does also help improve your dynamics because you have that adaptive abilities. So hopefully here in a second we'll go around in some corners here and we'll kind of test that out. But you know, definitely Lexus is saying things are going to be a bit, you know, sportier and stuff than the previous F Sport, which was just cosmetic. So kind of, you know, turning the steering wheel a little bit here. Of course, we're in the normal mode right now. I can definitely tell that the steering has been improved with this new generation. Feels heavier, feels more responsive. And I'll go ahead and as well stick us in our Sport Plus here. So the Sport mode, of course, is going to make the throttle response, you know, more aggressive, the transmission mapping, all that. Again, the steering is, you know, a little bit sharper. But yeah, as far as the dampening, you know, like Mason was saying, at the end of the day, the NX is not going to be hardcore or anything like that. This is an F Sport version. It doesn't matter. It's not going to be like an AMG version that you might find in Mercedes or an M or anything like that. This is still, you know, like a very sharp, sporty looking SUV that is still very everyday livable is basically the main point of this. And that's, I think, is why F Sport has proven to be so popular within the Lexus lineup, because it doesn't really give up those Lexus characteristics you expect, but still gives you that aggressive style.
Alrighty guys, and I do want to point out one thing that we haven't mentioned up until this point in the video. If you notice from that acceleration, just kind of the engine noise coming into the cabin a little bit, I do want to point out when you compare it to the German rivals with their mild hybrid powertrain, especially stuff like the Audi Q5, for instance, this is going to have a little bit less refinement out of this engine. But that's not to say it's super unrefined or anything. You're just going to have a little bit more penetration into the cabin, you know, under accelerations like that. Now, one of those big benefits about this powertrain is the fuel economy. This is not a mild hybrid. There's not a lot of stuff going on. You can, of course, get those in the other versions, which we will cover in a separate review, but this one's still coming in at 22, 29, 25 combined with all-wheel drive. So that is one of the best fuel economies in the entire segment.
It might be the best in class.
Really. I think the Q5 might be 25. But, you know, that, of course, is a mild hybrid to achieve that fuel economy. So that's certainly really good. And if you go for the 250, it only improves from there to 28 miles a gallon combined.
Let's go ahead and hop into our airball and slam dunk. So I'm going to start off with the airball. For this model, I'm going to say the shifter. The shifter is something, I've discussed this in some of the other, there's a couple other Lexus products that have it. It's just a little bit funky in the operation with the setup where you have to go to the left every time before you go into drive or neutral. I just find that to be a little confusing. I'm sure you would get used to it with time, but other electronic shifters in other vehicles are just easier to use, in my opinion.
Yeah. And as far as our slam dunk, we're going to say that is the price for this NX. I think that's really always been a strong suit for this model, and I think it's one of the reasons that it sells so many is because it is quite a bit cheaper than the Germans. Of course, the Acura RDX is pretty similar in its price point to this, but when you compare it to the Germans, this is a lot cheaper. So we're going to start at a price of $37,950 for the 250 front-wheel drive, which is a lot cheaper than the Germans. And then if you go for the 350 F Sport, which is what we have today, that's going to start at $46,650. Now this tester does have some optional equipment on it, plus the 1,075 destination brings this one to $50,860. And of course, as you go up the different powertrains like the plug-in hybrid, you can actually take this, I believe, to over $60,000. But of course, we'll talk about that later in our other review.
Yeah, and also that would have a tax credit. So
yeah.
And that right there is our auto start stop system. Refiring, it does operate pretty smoothly. But in conclusion, you know, this new generation of the Lexus NX, I think, has really nailed everything that it needed to nail. Basically, they took all the things that people have liked about the NX. Like I said at the beginning, the NX has been a very popular product for Lexus. It really expanded them into a new segment. And, you know, this new generation, like I said, just builds upon all those strong areas of the NX where you have the price, you have the value, you have the look that people like. Just refines that with all the new elements, especially a huge upgrade with the technology. And all in all, this is really just a big leap forward.
Well guys, we really appreciate you making it this far in our in-depth review of the 2022 Lexus NX 350 F Sport. If you made it this far, I'm sure that means you may have enjoyed watching our video, and we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. It's completely free to you, and it helps give us a lot more opportunities to review cooler cars for you all to see, so it really helps us both out. Also follow us on TikTok and Instagram. We have other content on there, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.